trucking. Got my chips cashed in. Keep trucking like the Doodah Man. Together, more or less in line. Just keep trucking on.
It's Thursday again. Not just any old Thursday, but it's Thanksgiving Thursday. And it's the last Thursday of the month. So I'm here, giving you a little update of what's been going on at the Good View Quarter. First of all, like I said, it is Thanksgiving. So I am thankful for all of you listeners and all of my Patreon supporters and the like. You know, it's appreciated, you guys out there giving me some feedback and keeping me honest, making sure that I am here every Tuesday putting something out for your little ear holes. Anyway, today's show notes will be at homesteadsandhomeschools.com/GVQ03. And there'll be some pictures in there and a couple links. If you missed Tuesday's show, I started a Discord server, and the link to that will be in there. And of course, you know, the link for the Patreon and Facebook group, the Homesteaded Homeschool Forum. They'll have links to that there. So go check the show notes out, check some pictures out, see what's going on. The month started kind of cold. Halloween was like 80 degrees, and then by, next morning it was in the 30s, low 30s, which, it gave us a little problem with the gardens, I think. A couple weeks after that, a week after that, it was down to 27. I want to say 28, 27. And there was a frost, and it was a pretty good frost. And a lot of the smaller seedlings that really haven't had a problem when they get bigger froze off. So we lost a little bit of our spinach and some of our lettuce, which was kind of unfortunate, but I guess to be expected. Another problem we're running into with our garden, and this is quite frustrating on multiple levels. I get my seeds from a local nursery. They've been around for probably almost 100 years now. It was run by a grandparent and, started by a grandparent, and now it's the grandson, I think, is running it. But they sell seeds. They buy bulk seeds and they sell them. And so, they have probably a 2-pound bag of lettuce seeds. And back in the day, that was probably all right. But now with the advent of the internet and everything else, that 2-pound bag of lettuce seeds will last for quite some time. And as we all know, as seeds sit out in less than ideal conditions, essentially in a warehouse, it's 100 degrees outside, viability, germination rate just plummets. And so I reseeded our lettuce and some other stuff just super heavily, and it still just is not coming back to sufficient levels that it should be. And this is the same place we bought the same seed from last year and had no problem. So I think it has to do a lot with the older seeds and probably a little bit to do with the colder weather. Fun little thing happened at the beginning of the month. I was out in the garden. I was doing some weeding, and we have 2 little feist dogs, and they brought me a squirrel. They're constantly catching rodents and varmints, and this time it was a squirrel. So, all right, cool. We'll throw it in the crock pot of death and make some dog food with it, and they'll be happy. And I go over to pick it up, and it's got holes in it. And now they're not dog tooth holes. They're actual holes that have been there for a while. Kind of rounded sores on the outside edges, and just gross. And I'm looking at it, and they got lumps underneath these holes. Man, they were like giant pimples. I squeezed them, popped them, and out comes this gigantic fly larva. Man, it was like probably an inch long and just fat, half an inch wide, iridescent. A couple of them were iridescent. One was white, and it was just disgusting. And I imagine this is what botflies actually look like in the wild. I'd seen some sheep in Vermont that are having some botfly problems, but I've not actually seen it other than that. And yeah, so found it on a wild squirrel. We gave that to the chickens and they enjoyed it. And that was that, because I don't want to mess around with that too much. And, our little meat chickens are getting bigger. They're about a month old as I'm recording this. I am secret recording this early. I have family coming down, and I'm just not down to podcast when they are around. So I will have a week off of no recording. So that should be a little bit of a break, I guess. But yeah, so they're about a month old right now, and they are massive. I know they grow fast. I had no idea that they grew this fast, but they do. And so we've been getting them out in the chicken tractor during the day. It's been up into the 60s, and they've enjoyed that. We started out with them in like a tote type brooder, and then put them out into the garage into a swimming pool kind of brooder. And the plan was to get them outside, but the weather kind of bit us a little bit. We had, I don't know, probably a week where it was just got up into the 50s, just barely, and it was down into the 30s and below freezing at night. And chickens just weren't ready to be outside in that weather. So that gave us a little bit of a problem. And I knew getting them at this time of year, we were going to be possibly faced with that. But I was hoping that the weather would not get cooler until they had a few more of their feathers on them. So, rolled the dice and lost, but all is well. They're doing good and getting fat and plump. It's kind of cool because the kids, they know that they're meat birds. They know that they're going in the freezer in a matter of weeks, and it hasn't stopped them from showing them kindness and love and wanting to hang out with the chickens and pet them and watch them. So kind of neat. Our Great Pyrenees, we have two of those. One's out in the goats. They both usually are out with the goats, but we just got the female spayed, and she's inside because she has stitches and she can't go outside, and she's a royal nuisance because she's still a puppy and she just wants to go outside and play. So I let her in and out of the backyard, and she likes to hang out with the baby chicks when they're out in the backyard. It's kind of interesting. She charged at one of our other dogs that was in the backyard when she got too close to the baby chicks, and she kind of stood over them and watched them. So we haven't done too much training with her in terms of chickens and birds and poultry. So I don't totally trust her yet, but it does look promising, which is very hopeful for that. I think this spring we'd like to get some turkeys and put them in with the goats in the goat pasture, because it just will make things easier. And if the dogs are there to help protect them, it will keep the fox at bay. So we ran into that the first time we had turkeys. Towards the end of the season, we had a fox come in and take the last few that we were trying to keep so we could generate some sort of reproductive population, but not to be had. And but really, I think that's all that's really going on here. Like I said, it got cold, so we had to fire up the wood stove. First time for that. And, up north in New England, I always dreaded getting the wood stove going again and the coming of winter because it just lasted and it was cold. But, it's kind of cozy down here. It's nice to throw the wood stove on once in a while and get warm and feel cold. So used to the heat, so used to just being hot, sweating all the time, that it's nice to be cold once in a while. Nice to be cozy. That's our deal with that. Got to get out there and cut some firewood. Got myself a little trailer, so I'm not skidding logs anymore. Skidding logs in dirt is not always ideal. It's easy enough to do on snow when it's just sliding right along, but doing it on the dirt, I've had the tractor up on a couple wheels. Kind of want to not do that anymore. You're always watching going up the hill and ready to pop the clutch and let it out so it doesn't roll back on you. But got the trailer, so I think I'll start bucking the wood in the woods and then just stack it straight from the trailer. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll make things a little safer, I suppose. Homeschooling has been going well. We've, moved on in topics. My son is working in, colonial times, sort of, looking at, Jamestown, Plymouth, talking about Salem witch trials. And it's led to some interesting conversations about, I kind of look at how people get so frothed up sometimes and just neglect, human decency, human rights, and, just, what we're all born with. So it's led to some interesting conversations there. You heard that barking. Of course, that's the Great Pyrenees that's inside that needs to go outside, but can't because she has those stitches. Oh, she likes to bark at like 3 a.m. and then make the other dogs howl, and they howl like coyotes, and it is just a nuisance. But my daughters are doing well, doing the homeschooling thing. We're really trying to work with our younger daughter and try to try to get things going. It does have its difficulties. She has a little bit of baggage sometimes, and we're trying to work with that and figure out ways that we can work best with her, and show her that, life is different now, and that she is loved, and that that trust is there. And I think we're finally trying to learn that, trying to figure it out. So that's been very positive. Went to the library. We do our homeschool at the library twice a week. So every year around Thanksgiving, and again at St. Patrick's Day, the library has a book sale. All old books, used books, out of former library books, and sometimes there's some just old books that people have donated there. And my kids absolutely love this. Hardcover books for $1, paperback for 50 cents. Not that we need any more books, but the kids love to look through them, and they always find some gems that they hang on to that they really enjoy reading. My son was going through, and he found some older books that were there. One of them is a 1923 copyright, and I think another one's like 1927. And he was really enthralled by this, just the fact of the age of the book, and so we picked them up. And one of them ended up being Elbert Hubbard's scrapbook. Now, I wasn't sure what it was. It's old. It's 1923. And the inside cover has a little writing in it, a little note in it from a husband to a wife for a Christmas present. And inside the scrapbook is just quotes that have been formally published and put together. So it's not a scrapbook in the typical sense when you imagine a scrapbook, but it's just random quotes. Some of the quotes are, from Longfellow, Shakespeare, I think Shaw was in there. Some others, there's big thinkers, lots of big words. And really, it's been interesting because my son is, he's taken to reading it. And it's a little too much Little House on the Prairie for my liking sometimes. But it works. He likes to read to us. So he'll read a couple quotes out of there at night to us. And, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about who said them, and we'll talk about, the whys they were saying them, or what they were talking about. And it's really kind of led to this interesting little, project that he does. He looks up the words that he doesn't know. We're talking about the people that, are talking about the quotes, and it's been quite interesting. Really has been fun. And I got to digging on Elbert Hubbard a little bit, and it turns out he identified himself as an anarchist socialist. So take it for what it is. But he was arrested before World War I for publishing obscene literature. And I tried to find, and I couldn't figure out what this obscene literature was. I have a suspicion that it had to do more with political ideologies than actually anything obscene that, we would imagine as obscene today. But I don't know. Anyway, he was trying to go over to Europe to report on World War I, but his passport got revoked because he was convicted of publishing obscene material. And so then he got on a boat, a rather famous boat by the name of the Lusitania. And so he was on there when that got torpedoed down. So quite an interesting character. And my son has been kind of looking into him a little bit more, just because, it's kind of a fun history lesson. He also wrote, Jesus was an anarchist. Just kind of curious how these things work. You find some random books and, what rabbit holes they take you down. We may even try to, find the people that, are talked about in the book. So like it has first names and last names. There's some different certificates in there that the people that owned the book originally had received from different churches and stuff. And I may try to get some of those letters and pictures and things back to somebody in the family. Could be a kind of neat little project for the kids to do. Kind of do some research and figure it all out. But that's really all we got going on. My folks are coming down for Thanksgiving, which is why I'm recording this earlier, as I said. So that'll give the kids are going to take the week off from school, but they'll be doing little presentations for the grandparents and for everybody else. So that'll be fun for them. They kind of enjoy that. That's about all. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out this podcast, for supporting it on Patreon, for writing your reviews on iTunes. It's all very much appreciated, and for that I am thankful on this Thanksgiving Day. Seriously, guys, I really appreciate everything y'all out there do. Get out there and enjoy your family, enjoy your company, say thanks, be thankful, and be cognizant of what you have. You know, some days it may feel like you don't have anything, or you are unhappy with what you have and where you are, and just got to remember, you know, could be worse. Everything always could be worse, right? Unless you're dead, and then you don't know. So go figure. Anyway, folks, get out there, eat some turkey, and sow those seeds of liberty. We can all reap sheaves of freedom together.